Welcome to my 2-week course to improve your relationship and mindset with nutrition. My name is Carly. I'm a registered dietitian and trainer, and I am so excited to walk you through this course. A quick little bit about me. I'm a dietitian that's very passionate about reaching nutrition and fitness goals in a realistic and sustainable way and getting away from the frustrating cycle of fad dieting, 0 to 100 approaches, or just that hamster wheel cycle of starting a new diet, getting burnt out because it's not sustainable and enjoyable, and then having to start back at square one. So again, really passionate about helping people find a routine that is focused and centered around them, and again, feels realistic and sustainable long term. Personally, I have type 1 diabetes and thyroid issues, and so I've had my fair share of nutrition and fitness related struggles. And so I'm not just somebody that has it easy. I really have taken years to build a solid foundation for myself. So I think I can combine my personal experiences with my science-based knowledge as a dietitian to, again, help people work towards their nutrition or fitness related goals. There is so much misinformation and just general nutrition information out there, which is not always a bad thing, but nutrition is not and never will be one size fits all. We are all very different and have different needs. So the purpose of this course is to take 14 days to learn some of the basics of nutrition and do some self-reflection to learn and work through any barriers or negative thought patterns around nutrition or fitness, and just to ultimately help you focus and prioritize your individual needs. We all have different mindsets when it comes to nutrition based on several factors, like what we were taught at a young age, personal health, lifestyle, again, personal preference, etc. So again, there's so much information about nutrition online, and I know sometimes it can be really confusing and throw people off and just negatively impact them. So I want this course to be an intro to help people learn and to just feel empowered overall with their nutrition routine. Any type of sustainable change or goal requires self-reflection and the ability to go inward and understand your own needs. When we're able to do this, we build a foundation and set ourselves up for success. So this course is not a quick fix, but if you are someone who is, again, sick of the fad dieting or just a negative mindset around nutrition goals or routine, this is for you. So I'll walk you through this course from start to finish. In these 14 days, we'll have short videos every day with different topics and just some simple tips to implement on a daily basis. So the goal here is to take a step back, learn some of the nutrition basics, and build a foundation. So again, whether you are someone who has just been constantly struggling with implementing nutrition goals and making them stick, or you just want to start somewhere, this course is for anybody and can be beneficial no matter what point you're at. So we are focusing on nutrition coaching and motivational interviewing techniques. And of course, as a disclaimer, mental health and different medical conditions are something to take very seriously. So this course is not specific advice for anybody struggling with certain health conditions, diagnosed eating disorders, or any other mental health conditions. In that case, it's highly advised to refer to the appropriate medical professional. So that being said, we are gonna dive straight into day 1. So the topic for day 1 is setting an intention and the importance of keeping the focus on you. Anytime we start a challenge or goal, it's always important to set an intention and focus on your why. So before we do that, I want to start off by explaining why it is so important to keep the focus on you. So in the nutrition and fitness world, there are so many approaches, exercise plans, meal ideas, nutrition plans, etc. So like I said earlier, fitness and nutrition is not and will never be one size fits all. We all are gonna have different needs depending on our own information, like age, height, gender, weight, activity level, lifestyle, medical conditions, etc. But we also have very different needs when it comes to our personal preference and what works for us or what doesn't work for us. So reaching a nutrition related goal like weight loss and muscle build is typically never done by one specific food alone. It is the overall calorie and macronutrient breakdown practiced consistently long term. So we'll get much deeper into what that means later in this course, but just as an intro for day one, know that there's an infinite number of food combinations, meal types, and nutrition like plans or routines that can create a healthy, sustainable diet. So even though there are foods that are much more nutrient dense or healthier per se than others, it's really never one food that is either the magic fix or is the reason for not reaching a goal. There are obviously common foods and tips that can be more helpful than others, but there are so many different combinations that can be implemented in order to meet specific needs. So that is where personal preference and the importance of keeping the focus on each individual comes into play. So personal preference is key to prioritize when creating a sustainable nutrition or fitness routine, because if a plan is not sustainable in the beginning, it's going to be very, very hard to continue to implement long term and therefore reach or maintain your specific goals. When a nutrition plan is built on personal needs, preference, and lifestyle, it is much more likely to be set up for success. So again, we'll get much more deeper into this as we go along in this course, but this is why it is so important to avoid comparison with others, because it'll never be helpful and it's not really looking at the big picture. So a couple examples here. So say two people with different information, like different activity levels, different lifestyles, different preferences, may have different approaches with their nutrition routine, but both can be considered healthy. So when we're talking about comparison, if those two people with different needs are looking at each other and comparing specific components, it's really not helping either of them, because again, when it comes to nutrition, the focus needs to be on each individual. So for an example, say one person is vegetarian for personal values and person number two is not. They're probably going to go about their overall nutrition routine and macronutrient breakdown, which we'll talk about in another day, a little differently, and both are okay and considered healthy. They're just two different examples based on individual needs. On the other hand, for another example here, say there are two people who are both trying to lose weight and have very similar information needs. So say they are similar height, weight, age, gender, fitness level, etc. They could both be following the same nutrition or fitness regimen to a T, and it could work for one person and feel sustainable, but may not work for another. And so this is where the personal preference factor comes in. So person number one may feel like the plan is sustainable, enjoyable, and they love it, and they're reaching their weight loss goals. And person number two could feel like the plan is not enjoyable and sustainable, and they may, again, really struggle with it. So personal preference also has a huge impact on long-term sustainability. I wanted to point out these examples because when people aren't focusing on themselves and they're comparing to others, or listening to random nutrition advice on social media, this is where it gets really confusing. People get discouraged, or they just go backwards, or overall, again, just feel confused on how to implement a healthy nutrition routine. And it can also be easy to fall into self-sabotage. So people may have this like expectation or comparing themselves with the people next to them are doing, whether again, it's weight loss or whatever. And it can make people think that they're doing something wrong, or they're never gonna reach that specific goal because they're struggling with that same plan, which they aren't. They just need to focus on a routine that is built around what they need specifically. So if that is the case for you, where maybe you're focusing on weight loss or a specific nutrition goal and you feel like you've tried different plans and they just haven't worked, please be encouraged that there are several approaches to go about your nutrition and fitness routine that are considered healthy and sustainable. And it's normal to have to make tweaks and adjustments along the way to get there and just keep moving forward. So we'll talk about what I call non-negotiables, and we'll talk about commitments tomorrow, which kind of goes off of personal preference and more of what that actually looks like to implement on a weekly basis. But the key takeaway from all of this is to avoid comparison. Anytime you are comparing yourself to another person, you are taking the focus off of you, which does not work for nutrition, because again, nutrition is not one size fits all. The next component for day one is to go back to an intention. So again, it's important to understand your why and your motivation. There is no right or wrong answer here, but maybe you want to get away from the cycles of fad dieting or going 0 to 100 with dieting or nutrition. Maybe you currently have a lot of guilt or shame around your current nutrition routine and you want to learn how to work through that. Maybe you want to wake up and just feel your best self. Again, so many examples. Maybe you're just sick of seeing a million different things on social media, so you want to feel educated and empowered to know what information to listen to. So again, no right or wrong answer here, but just take some time to get clear on your goals and what you really want to focus on so you can continue to build off of that throughout this course. So the challenge or daily activity for day 1 is to write down your intention and the specific things that you want to accomplish, improve, or work on when it comes to your nutrition or fitness routine. So think about it and get a good understanding of how this could help you feel better and positively impact your life. Part 2 of this challenge is to start to pay attention and be mindful anytime that you notice that you're comparing yourself to others when it comes to fitness or nutrition. So specifically just for day 1, start to just observe and make note when that comes up and why, and if it brings out any negative feelings. And again, just make a mental note. As we go through each topic in this course, we'll go deeper on how to continue to avoid that and bring the focus back on ourselves. It's always great to have others to motivate and inspire us. That is perfect. But again, I'm talking about the type of comparison that brings out those negative emotions like guilt or shame and throws us off track. So the activity to kick us off for day 1, set an intention and start to notice and observe when you are comparing yourself to others. Topics each day in the daily challenges are entirely up to you to implement. The goal is to continue to implement as we go along the days in this course as well. So that is day 1, setting an intention and the importance of keeping the focus on you. You can also refer to the handouts for each day, talking through key points to look back on. Tomorrow for day 2, we will start to get into individual non-negotiables and commitments and how that again plays a role into personal preference. So that is the end of day 1, and I will see you tomorrow for day 2.